Hey everyone! Hope you're all in a good mood today because I've got a new story for you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, it really means a lot to me. Using English names because some of his family follows Reddit drama pages, and honestly at this point I wouldn't put it past his mom to have a Google alert set up for herself. So my boyfriend, I'll call him Lucas, and I are both Lebanese. Born here, raised here, but our parents are immigrants who came over in the early 90s. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. Him in the same city, different side of town. We met through mutual friends about a year and a half ago. And I want to be clear about something right away because I know how Reddit works and somebody is going to ask. Yes, both our families are from Lebanon. Same culture, same traditions, same food, same holidays, same everything. So when I tell you what his mother pulled, understand that the "you're disrespecting my culture" card was maybe the most insulting part of all of this because, ma'am, it is my culture too, and nobody in my family has ever operated like this. Okay, so let me set up how we got here because it didn't start insane. It started normal. Almost too normal, which I guess should have been the first clue. Lucas was great in the beginning, and I hate saying that because every single one of these posts starts with, "He was so great at first," and then you all sit there going, "Oh, honey, no." But he was. He got along with my friends. He never made me feel weird about how much time I spent with my family. My dad liked him, which is a big deal because my dad doesn't like anybody my age. He's an engineer who retired early and spends most of his time restoring a 1978 Camaro in the garage that will never actually run, but don't tell him that. My mom was more cautious, but she's like that with everyone. She needs time. She watches how people behave over months before she makes up her mind about them. My younger brother Edgar didn't care either way, but he's 19 and lives in his own universe, so that tracks. We live in a duplex on the east side near the old meatpacking district. I've got the upstairs unit. Lucas had his own apartment across town near the highway. He was over at my place most of the time, though, because his roommate worked nights and slept during the day, so the apartment was always dark and quiet like a funeral home. For the first 7 or 8 months, I met his mom maybe 3 times. Once at a family thing for Easter, once when we stopped by to drop off groceries because she'd had minor surgery, and once when she came by Lucas's place and I happened to be there. She was fine. Not warm, not cold. She asked me normal stuff, where my family was from originally, what part of Lebanon did I speak Arabic. I answered everything, I was polite, I brought her a dessert I made from scratch when we visited after her surgery. She ate it, said it was good. Nothing crazy. Then, around month 9 or 10, Lucas started making these little comments. His mom thought I should come to Sunday dinner more often. His mom noticed I didn't help clear the table last time. I absolutely did. I cleared my plate and his, but apparently I didn't help wash the dishes in the kitchen after. His mom thought my outfit at Easter was a little too much. His mom wondered why I didn't greet his aunt first when we walked in because she's the eldest woman in the room and that's how it's supposed to go. Every single one of these comments came through Lucas. Never from his mom directly. She would smile at me, offer me tea, act perfectly normal to my face. But then a day or two later, Lucas would casually bring up something she said and it was always framed as advice, like he was doing me a favor by passing it along. I let the first few slide because honestly I thought maybe she was just old school and Lucas was awkwardly trying to help me navigate his family dynamics. My own mom has opinions about stuff like greeting order and table manners, so I figured, okay, different household, different expectations, I can adapt a little. But then it kept coming, and it wasn't little stuff anymore. She didn't like that I drove a nicer car than Lucas. She thought it was inappropriate that I apparently made more money than him. I never once discussed my income with her, so Lucas was obviously telling her. She didn't think I should be going out with my friends as much as I did. She thought I posted too much on Instagram. She believed I should start attending their family's church, even though my family goes to a different one in the same denomination. She felt I needed to learn her mother's recipe for kibbeh because hers was the correct way. And apparently the way my mom makes it is wrong. Each one of these little digs came from Lucas like he was a carrier pigeon. And each time I pushed back even slightly, he'd get this look on his face and go, "Well, it's just how my family is. You know how Lebanese moms are." And I'd say, yes, Lucas, I do know how Lebanese moms are. My mom is a Lebanese mom, and she's never handed my brother's girlfriend a list of demands. He'd changed the subject. Then about 4 months ago, this would have been early December, Lucas came over after spending the day at his parents' house. He sat down at my kitchen table, and he pulled out his phone and said his mom wanted to talk to me about something important, and could he show me? I said, sure. It was a Google Doc. A Google Doc. His mother had typed up, or had someone type up, I don't even know. A list of 32 rules. 32, numbered, formatted with bullet points under some of them, 3 pages long when I scrolled through it. The title at the top was Expectations for Lucas's Future Wife, and underneath that it said, to be reviewed and agreed upon before family approval. I sat at that table and I read through every single rule on that list without saying a word. Some of them were the kind of stuff that's normal in our culture. Respect the elders, attend family gatherings, be modest and dress around the older relatives. Fine, whatever. Every Lebanese household has some version of that. But then there were the ones that made me want to throw his phone across the kitchen. Rule number 7 was that I should not correct Lucas in front of his family, ever, for any reason. Rule number 12, the one from the title, said I must cook for the family every Sunday and never complain about it. Not help cook, cook, for his entire family, every single Sunday. Rule number 15 said I should limit contact with male friends and coworkers outside of work hours. Rule number 19 said any major purchases I make should be discussed with Lucas and his mother first. Rule number 22 said I should not travel overnight without Lucas. Rule number 27 said when we have children, his mother has final say on the names. Final say. Rule number 31 said I should not raise my voice or argue with his mother under any circumstances, and if I have concerns, I should bring them to Lucas privately, and he would decide whether to bring them to her. I read all 32 rules. I put the phone down on the wobbly table and I looked at him and I asked him if he was serious. And he said this was important to his mom and she just wanted to make sure we were a good fit. I told him this was insane. I didn't yell yet, I just said it flat. Lucas, this is insane. His mom is not the Queen of England. She doesn't get to write up a contract for me like I'm applying for a position at her household. I am your girlfriend, not your employee. And I am not going to agree to a document that says I can't name my own children. And that's when he hit me with it. He said I was disrespecting his culture. I lost it. I said, excuse me, your culture? I am your culture. My parents came from the same country yours did. My grandma makes the same food. I grew up with the same values. The difference is that my family doesn't treat women like they need to pass an entrance exam to be worthy of dating someone. And you know what? Even within Lebanese families I know, including some that are way more traditional than yours, nobody does this. This isn't culture. This is your mother being controlling and you being too scared to say anything about it. He got up and started packing his stuff, and he said he wasn't going to sit there and let me talk about his mother like that. I told him good, leave then, but don't come back and tell me this is about culture when we both know it's about her not wanting to share her son. He left. That was a Thursday night. By Saturday morning, his mother had apparently called my mother. She called her at like 9 in the morning on a Saturday and told her that I was westernized, that I was a bad influence on Lucas, that I had been disrespectful, and that she worried about what kind of wife I would be because I clearly had no respect for tradition. My mom listened to the whole thing because my mom is the type who lets people talk until they run out of air. And then she told Lucas's mom, very calmly, that her daughter was raised perfectly fine, that she doesn't need a stranger's approval to know her own child, and that maybe if she spent less time writing documents and more time raising her son to be an adult, he wouldn't need his mother screening his girlfriends at 27 years old. Then she hung up. My mom is a savage and I will die on this hill. But here's where it got worse, because it didn't stop with my mom. Over that weekend and into the next week, I started getting messages from Lucas's older sister Rosa and his aunt on his dad's side. Rosa sent me this long WhatsApp message about how his mom is just protective and how she went through the same thing when she married into the family, and I just need to give it time and show that I'm committed. His aunt, who I have met exactly one time, sent me a voice note on WhatsApp that was literally 4 minutes long about how family is everything, and how a woman who can't humble herself will never find peace in marriage. I didn't respond to any of them. Not because I was being passive, I just genuinely did not know what to say to these people who were inserting themselves into my relationship based on instructions from a woman who thinks she gets to name my unborn children. Then Lucas came back, showed up at my door on a Tuesday evening, still had his key because I hadn't thought to ask for it back yet. He walked in like nothing had happened, sat down, and said he'd been thinking about everything and he had a solution. His solution was, and I need everyone to really absorb this, that I should just follow the list. For a few months. To prove to his mother that I was serious about the relationship and willing to make an effort. He said once she saw I was trying, she would relax and the rules would basically go away on their own. He said his mom did the same thing with Rosa's husband and now they get along great. I asked him if he was hearing himself. I asked if he genuinely believed that the right move here was for me to pretend to be a different person for months, so that his mother would grace me with her approval. He said it wasn't about pretending, it was about showing respect. And then something else came out, because I wasn't letting this go and I kept pushing. I told him I wanted to know why his mother had so much power over him, why a 27-year-old man was bringing his mother's Google Doc to his girlfriend's kitchen table like it was a peace treaty. And he admitted that his mom had given him an ultimatum. She told him that if I wouldn't agree to the list, she would cut him off. Not just emotionally, she helps him with rent. She pays his car insurance. She gives him money when he runs short at the end of the month. He is financially dependent on his mother at 27, and that is why he was sitting at my kitchen table asking me to just go along with it. I told him to get out. I told him I needed time to think. I took his key back this time. He left and sent me a message that night saying he loved me and he was caught in the middle and he just wanted everyone to be happy. I didn't respond. But here's the part I haven't told anyone yet. About 3 weeks before the list incident, Maya had a small get-together at her place. Just like 6 or 7 people, casual, drinking wine on her back porch. Lucas was there with 2 of his friends, Rylan and George. I was inside refilling the chip bowls in Maya's kitchen when I heard the 3 of them talking in the hallway that connects to the back porch. They didn't know I was right there around the corner. And Lucas was talking about his parents. He was telling Rylan and George how he'd been selling his mom's jewelry and his dad's tools on Facebook Marketplace for months, like her actual gold pieces that she kept in a box in the bedroom closet, and his dad's power tools from the garage. He was laughing about it, saying his mom blamed the cleaning lady for the missing earrings and his dad thought he'd lent the tools to a neighbor and forgotten about it. Rylan was cracking up. George looked uncomfortable, but wasn't saying anything. Lucas said his parents were too clueless to figure it out, and that his mom was so busy trying to control everyone else's life she didn't even notice her own stuff disappearing from under her nose. At the time, I told myself it was drunk talk, maybe exaggerating to look cool in front of his boys. But now, after the list, after the ultimatum, after watching him sit at my table begging me to follow his mommy's rules, that conversation keeps replaying. Because the man who brought me a document titled Expectations for Lucas's Future Wife is the same man who's been selling his mother's gold behind her back and laughing about it. The man who accused me of disrespecting his culture is the same man who calls his parents clueless and profits off their trust. And there's one more thing. Lucas told me months ago that he started going to the gym every morning, 5:30 a.m. before I was even awake. He made a whole thing of it, bought new gym shoes, would leave early and come back showered and energized. I thought it was great. I was genuinely proud of him for getting into a routine. But about 2 weeks ago, Maya mentioned that she saw Lucas's car parked outside a townhouse complex on the south side at like 7 in the morning on a weekday when she was driving to her early shift. She said she almost honked but figured maybe he was visiting someone. She didn't think anything of it. But then she saw it again the following week. Same complex. Same early morning time. I don't know whose townhouse it is. I don't have proof of anything specific. But a man who says he's at the gym every morning at 5:30 doesn't have his car parked at a townhouse across town at 7 a.m. twice in 2 weeks. And rule number 15 on his mother's list, the one about Emmy limiting contact with male friends, is looking real interesting right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a boyfriend who brought me his mother's 32-rule contract, accused me of disrespecting a culture we literally share, whose mother is calling my family telling people I'm westernized, whose entire extended family is sending me WhatsApp sermons about humility. And meanwhile, this same man is selling his own parents' belongings behind their back, laughing about how clueless they are, and possibly spending his early mornings somewhere that is definitely not a gym, and I haven't confronted him about any of it yet. Not the selling, not the car at the townhouse, nothing. I've been sitting on all of it because I don't even know where to start. Anyway, that's the situation. I'm going to figure out my next move and I'll update when something happens. If you got this far, thanks for reading this mess. You're disrespecting my culture is the funniest thing a man has ever said to a woman who is from the same culture. Like, dude, she's not some foreigner who doesn't understand your traditions. Her grandma probably taught your grandma the kibbeh recipe. You cannot gatekeep a culture that someone else is standing inside of with you. That's like telling someone they don't understand rain while you're both getting wet. He didn't pull the culture card because it was true. He pulled it because it was the only card he had left and he was hoping she wouldn't notice it was expired. And there is a certain type of mom's boy that is so dangerous because he doesn't even look like a mama's boy from the outside. He looks normal. He looks sweet. He charms your dad. He brings dessert. He texts good morning. But underneath all of that is a grown man who cannot make a single decision without checking with his mother first, and the second she says jump, he asks how high and hands you the rope. These men will love you Monday through Saturday. But the second mama calls on Sunday, you are nothing. Your opinions are nothing. Your feelings are nothing. You are just the girl who needs to prove herself to a woman who is never going to approve of you anyway because nobody will ever be good enough for her baby boy. Nobody. Update. So after I posted, I sat with everything for about 3 days. I didn't reach out to Lucas. He was texting me, not constantly, but every morning he'd send something like, "Good morning, beautiful, I miss you," or "Thinking about you," or sometimes just a random meme like we were still normal. I didn't respond to any of it, but I didn't block him either because I wasn't done yet. I knew I wasn't done. What I did do during those 3 days was start paying attention. You know how once you catch one lie, your brain goes back through every conversation you've ever had with that person and starts flagging stuff? That's what was happening to me. I kept thinking about all the mornings Lucas left my apartment at 5 a.m. saying he was going to the gym, All the times he came back smelling like soap and looking refreshed, and I'd think, wow, good for him. He's really committing to this fitness thing. And now all I could think about was his car parked at that townhouse complex on the south side. I also kept thinking about the jewelry and the tools. His mom's gold, his dad's power tools. This man was sitting across from me at my kitchen table telling me I needed to respect his family's traditions while he was literally selling his mother's earrings on Facebook Marketplace. The hypocrisy was so thick I could choke on it. But I didn't want to go into this half-prepared. Some of you told me to just ghost him and move on, and I get that energy, but that's not me. This man and his mother had spent weeks dragging my name through their entire family, calling me westernized, telling people I was disrespectful, having his aunt send me 4-minute voice notes about humility, and the whole time he was the one selling his parents' stuff and sneaking off to some townhouse at dawn. No, I was not going to let that be the ending. I called Maya. Not for gossip, I needed specifics. I asked her about the townhouse. She told me the exact complex, described the building, said Lucas's car was parked in the same spot both times, not in visitor parking, in one of the assigned resident spots, which means whoever lives there was expecting him and gave him a regular spot. That's not visiting a friend. I also asked Maya about the things she'd told me before, about Lucas and his job, because here's something I didn't mention in my first post. A few weeks before the list incident, Maya's neighbor Stacy, they share a driveway and talk all the time, mentioned to Maya that Lucas had been let go from his job. He told me he was still working there, just that things were slow. But according to Stacy, who works at the same company, Lucas got caught clocking in and then leaving. Like literally. He would show up in the morning, badge in, and then leave for hours. Sometimes he wouldn't come back at all. Did this for weeks before his supervisor pulled the security footage and saw that Lucas was badging in at 8 and gone by 8:15. When they confronted him about it, he didn't even deny it, just said the job was a waste of his time and he had better things to do. They terminated him on the spot. So for months, this man was telling me he was at work during the day. Months. He'd text me on his lunch break talking about how busy it was, how his coworker was annoying, how he couldn't wait to be done for the day. He was making up an entire work life that didn't exist. And the whole time his mom was covering his rent and car insurance because he had no income, which is why he couldn't afford to go against her. Which is why he brought me the Google Doc, which is why I was sitting here with 32 rules telling me how to be a proper woman while he couldn't even be a proper employee. Okay, so, Wednesday night. I texted Lucas, kept it simple, told him we needed to talk in person and I wasn't going to do it over text. He responded in literally 11 seconds, so much for giving me space, and said he could come over. I said no. I wanted to do this somewhere that wasn't my apartment because last time he walked in with his key like he owned the place, and I didn't want that energy again. I told him to meet me at the park on Douglas, the one with the big stone pavilion near the walking trail. He showed up on time, which was almost funny given the whole getting fired for not showing up thing. I was already sitting at one of the concrete tables under the pavilion. He sat down across from me and immediately started in with the "I've been thinking about us" stuff. Said he'd talked to his mom and told her she needed to back off. Said he explained to her that the list was too much and that she needed to let us figure things out ourselves. Said she agreed to be more flexible. He literally used that word, flexible. Like she was a landlord negotiating lease terms instead of a woman who tried to claim naming rights over my future children. I let him go for about 2 minutes. He was on this whole thing about how he wants us to work, how he sees a future with me, how he knows his family is a lot, but every family has stuff. And normally this is where I would have gotten pulled in, because he's good at this, he really is. He knows how to sound sincere and he knows how to make you feel like you're the one being unreasonable for having a problem with something that's clearly a problem. But not this time. I cut him off and I said, okay, Lucas, let's talk about real stuff. Let's start with the gym. Tell me about your gym routine. What gym do you go to? What time do you get there? What do you do when you're there? He looked confused. Started talking about some Planet Fitness on the west side. Said he usually gets there around 5:45, does weights and cardio, leaves around 7. Sounded rehearsed. Like he'd practiced this answer before. I said that's interesting because Maya saw your car parked at a townhouse complex on the south side at 7 in the morning. 2 different weeks. Same complex. Same assigned parking spot, not visitor parking, resident parking. And Planet Fitness is on the west side of town, so unless you figured out how to be in 2 places at once, somebody is lying to me and it's not Maya. He did that thing. You know when someone's trying to figure out exactly how much you know before they pick which lie to tell? His eyes were moving fast, looking at the table, looking at me, looking at his hands. He started rubbing his palms on his jeans. He said Maya must have seen a similar car. I said a dark blue Nissan Altima with a dent on the rear bumper from when you hit that pole at Walmart. He said she must be mistaken. I said she saw it twice, Lucas. 2 different weeks. You want to try again? He He started getting agitated, said I was interrogating him like he was a criminal, said this felt like a trap, said he came here to talk about us and I was ambushing him. I told him no. An ambush is showing up at someone's kitchen table with a 32-rule contract from your mother. This is called asking a direct question and watching you dodge it. He said he's been helping a friend in the mornings, helping them with their place, renovations or something. I asked what friend. He said I didn't know them. I asked for a name. He said it didn't matter. I said it matters to me because rule number 15 on your mother's list says I need to limit my contact with male friends outside of work, but apparently you get to have secret morning visits to mystery friends in townhouses, and that's fine. He stood up, actually got up from the table and said I was twisting everything and making it into something it wasn't. I stayed sitting. I told him to sit down because we weren't done. He stayed standing, but he didn't leave. I said, okay, let's move on then. Let's talk about your job. How's work going, Lucas? He said it was fine. Things were picking up. I said, really? Because Stacy, Maya's neighbor, works at your company, shares a driveway with her. They talk all the time. Stacy told Maya you got fired months ago, that you were clocking in every morning and then leaving, badging in at 8 and gone by 8:15. And when they pulled the security footage and confronted you about it, you told them the job was a waste of your time. He sat back down, not because he wanted to, because his legs gave out. He put his elbows on the table and pressed his hands against his forehead and just sat there. I didn't say anything. I wanted him to feel the weight of all of it landing on him. Then I kept going. I said, and while we're being honest, that night at Maya's cookout, when you were in the hallway with Rylan and George, you were laughing about selling your mom's jewelry and your dad's tools on Facebook Marketplace. You said your mom blamed the cleaning lady for the missing earrings. You said your dad thought he'd lent his tools to a neighbor. You were bragging about how clueless they are. And this is the same mother who wrote me a Google Doc about how I need to respect her. The same mother whose gold necklaces you were pawning off to strangers on the internet. He looked at me and said I was supposed to come to him about that privately instead of holding on to it. He said keeping that information and using it now was manipulative. He called me manipulative. The man with the secret townhouse visits and the fake work schedule and the stolen jewelry called me manipulative for remembering something I heard him say out loud at a party. I told him he does not get to flip this. I said you sold your mother's jewelry. You faked going to work for months. You're going to some townhouse every morning and lying about it. You brought me a list of 32 rules about how I need to behave, and you can't even follow the basic rules of being a decent person. You told me I was disrespecting your culture, and you're out here disrespecting your own parents. The same parents whose money you live on, whose authority you hide behind, whose Google Docs you deliver to your girlfriend's kitchen table. He tried the sympathy angle, said he was under so much pressure, said his mom controls everything, the money, the family dynamics, who's in and who's out, and he's been trying to survive that his whole life. Said the job thing was embarrassing and he couldn't tell me. Said the selling was stupid and he was desperate because his mom tracks every dollar she gives him and he needed money she wouldn't question. I told him none of that explains the townhouse. None of that explains where you go every morning. And you still haven't given me a name or an explanation that makes any sense. He said he wasn't going to sit here and be put on trial. I said, this isn't a trial, Lucas. A trial implies you might be innocent. I'm just reading you back your own life and you can't handle hearing it out loud. He asked me if we were done, like as a couple. I told him I didn't know yet, and that was the truth. I said I need to see what you do next, not what you say, what you do. Because I've been listening to what you say for a year and a half and none of it was real. I told him, tell your mother the truth about your job. Stop selling your parents' stuff, and tell me who lives in that townhouse. Those are the 3 things. If you can't do all 3, then yeah, we're done. He left. I went home and sat on my couch in my coat for probably 20 minutes just running through everything. Because I knew Lucas. He wasn't going to do any of the things I asked. He was going to go home and figure out how to keep all his plates spinning without any of them crashing. And I was right. Because 2 days later, his mother called my father. Not my mom this time, my dad. And that phone call, I'm going to tell you all about that in the next update because what his mother said to my father and what my father did after is its own entire situation. And I'm still dealing with the fallout from it. More soon. I need to eat something and calm down because I'm getting worked up again just writing this. Men whose entire life is held together by lies and mom's money but have opinions about how their girlfriend should behave are the funniest and saddest people on earth. Like you can't even keep a job for more than 15 minutes a day, but you want to write rules for somebody else? 32 points on how to be a functioning adult, starting with number 1, stop stealing from your own mother, and number 2, actually, go to work when you clock in. But no, let's focus on whether she greeted Auntie first when she walked in. That's the real issue here, clearly. And why is it that every time a woman asks a man a simple, direct question, suddenly she's attacking him and ambushing him and interrogating him? Like, babe, she asked you where you go in the morning. That's one question. 1. and you turned it into a whole performance about how you're under pressure and she's being unfair and this feels like a trap. You know what actually feels like a trap? Dating a man with a secret life who calls you manipulative for noticing. That's a trap. She's not trapping you, she's just not stupid, and you're not used to that. Last update. All right, last one. So, the phone call. Lucas's mother called my dad, and I need you all to understand my dad to understand why this was such a catastrophically stupid move on her part. Lucas's mom called him on a Saturday morning. She told him she was concerned about me. She said I was being difficult and refusing to respect Lucas's family traditions. She said she'd tried to welcome me into the family and I'd rejected her efforts. And then, this is the part. She told my dad that maybe he hadn't done enough to prepare me for marriage, and that a young woman with proper guidance wouldn't be creating these kinds of problems. She told my father that he didn't prepare me properly. She questioned his parenting on a Saturday morning phone call that nobody asked for. My dad let her finish every single word, and then he told her that she had one chance to take back what she just said. She started going into this whole thing about how she didn't mean it like that. She was just worried, she just wants what's best for everyone. My dad cut her off and told her that she called his house and questioned how he raised his daughter because his daughter won't sign a permission slip. He told her that her son is 27 and can't sustain his own life without mommy's wallet, and maybe the parenting conversation should start a little closer to home. Then he hung up. But he didn't stop there, and this is where it gets good. My dad called Lucas directly, got his number from my mom's phone. He didn't yell at him, didn't threaten him. He invited him to come to the house, talk in person, man to man, that upcoming Sunday. Lucas, and I genuinely cannot tell you if this was bravery or the dumbest decision of his life, said yes. Sunday came. I was at the house because my dad told me to be there. My mom was in the kitchen making coffee and doing that thing where she pretends everything is fine but keeps glancing at the front door every time a car passes. Edgar was at the dining table eating cereal with his headphones on, watching something on his phone. Lucas pulled up around 11. I watched from the living room window. He sat in his car for a solid 5 minutes before getting out. He came to the front door and my dad opened it before he could knock. My dad shook his hand, because he's not going to skip manners even when he wants to disassemble someone, and brought him into the living room. I was already on the couch. My mom came and stood by the kitchen doorway with her arms crossed. My dad sat in his recliner and looked at Lucas and said, "Okay, talk. Explain to me what's happening and why your mother felt the need to call my house to tell me I failed as a father." Lucas started the apology tour. He was sorry about his mom. She went too far. She shouldn't have said that about my dad's parenting. He said he loved me and he was trying to make everything work, and his family can be intense, but he's working on it. He said he already told his mom she crossed a line. He was doing that thing where he sounds incredibly sincere and reasonable, and you start thinking maybe he really is just caught in a bad situation. My dad let him talk for about a minute and then asked one question. "Lucas, do you currently have a job?" Lucas looked at me. I looked back at him and I did not move a single muscle on my face because this was not my conversation to rescue him from. He looked back at my dad and said he was doing some freelance consulting. My dad asked what kind. Lucas gave some vague answer. My dad said that's interesting because a man who needs his mother to pay his rent and car insurance doesn't seem to have a lot of consulting income. And a man who can't provide for himself probably shouldn't be handing his girlfriend a list of expectations about how she needs to behave. Lucas started shifting, looking at the door, looking at me, looking at his own hands. My mom stepped forward from the kitchen doorway and said something to him in Arabic. She was telling him to stay seated and answer because he was in our house and he would show respect. She said it in that tone that every single Arab kid on the planet recognizes, the one that means do not test me right now. And here's where Lucas made his worst move. Instead of being honest, instead of admitting even one thing, he tried to flip it. He looked at my dad and said that with all due respect, the way I had been handling this situation was also hurtful. He said I ambushed him with private information at a public park. He said I violated his trust by holding on to things I overheard and using them against him. He said I wasn't being fair to his family. He sat in my father's living room and tried to make me the problem, in front of my parents. In the house where I grew up, my dad looked at him for a long time without speaking. Then he looked at me, then at my mom, then back at Lucas. And he said, "My daughter has never lied to me, not once in 25 years. Can you say the same thing to your own mother? Because from where I'm sitting, you lie to everyone. You lie to your girlfriend about where you go in the mornings. You lie to your mother about having a job. You were selling your parents' belongings and letting them blame other people for it. And now you're sitting in my house trying to make my daughter the problem because she caught you. I don't allow that in my home." Lucas stood up, said this wasn't fair, said he came here in good faith, said he was being ganged up on, and this whole thing was a setup. Edgar pulled his headphones completely off, looked up from his cereal, and said, "Bro, you're not being ganged up on. You're just in a room where nobody believes you're crap." My mom told Lucas to sit back down. She told him she wanted to ask him one thing. She said, "When your mother wrote that list, did you agree with it? Not did you deliver it. Did you agree with it? Did you look at rule number 12 and think, yes, my girlfriend should cook for my family every Sunday? Did you read rule number 27 and think, yes, my mother should name our children? Because if you agreed with even one of those rules, then you're not caught in the middle. You're on her side and you're too much of a coward to say it." Lucas started talking around it, saying his mom means well, saying the list was extreme but came from a place of love, saying he was going to talk to her about revising it, like it was a draft that needed edits and not an insane document that should never have existed. I stood up and I said, "Lucas, I need you to answer one more thing. Who lives in the townhouse on the south side? The one where your car was parked at 7 a.m. on 2 separate mornings when you told me you were at the gym." Lucas's whole body language changed. He was gripping the arm of the chair and his jaw was clenched and he was staring at the carpet. He said it was nobody. I said it's somebody because your car was in their assigned parking spot and I want a name. He said I was obsessing over nothing. I said if it's nothing, then give me a name and I'll drop it. He said he didn't have to answer to me about every minute of his day. I said, "You're right, you don't. But your mother's list says I have to limit my contact with men outside work hours. So if you're going to hold me to rule number 15, then you better be living by the same standard. Who lives in that townhouse?" He looked at me and said, "If I walk out this door right now, we're done." Just like his mother's ultimatum, her or me. And now him using the same move, agree with me or lose me. I told him then walk. He walked out. My dad sat back in his recliner and asked my mom if the coffee was ready. That was 3 weeks ago. Lucas texted me 6 times after that. The first few were angry. I humiliated him. I turned my family against him. I was going to regret this. Then they got sad. He misses me. He knows he messed up. He wants to try again. The last one came 5 days ago. He said his mom found out about the job and the selling. He didn't say how. He said everything was falling apart and he needed me. I didn't respond to any of them. His sister Rosa sent me one more WhatsApp message saying the family was going through a difficult time and she hoped I was satisfied with the damage I'd caused. My mom asked me last week if I was sad about it. I told her I was pissed that I wasted 1.5 years on someone who couldn't even tell the truth about whether he had a job. She laughed and said, "At least you found out before any Google Doc became a marriage contract. Thanks for sticking with this one, Reddit."